that 3-car went into that corner. If the 22 if he hadn't hit the 22 car, he would hit the wall. I'm okay with a bump and go deal where you hit somebody and get them out of the groove and then you go by them. But when you just intentionally just run somebody over, that's asking a little bit too much.
I guess with everything, it stayed pretty interesting,
well,
Richard.
It really wound up by last time they stopped, I guess, and everybody stopped. The cars that were supposed to be up front was up front. The 3-car stayed up front all day long.
He was a good car.
Nobody mentioned, nobody seen him. He just ran his race and done a really good job. I made it back from Richmond.
Yeah, and I stayed at home, so did you see anything that I didn't see?
I doubt if I seen it a whole lot. I noticed it's the first time I've seen them run up there. Most time they just single file. And they was running all over the racetrack. That's something different that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, I noticed that too, Richard, but watching it on television and just being, just ever what they show you and tell you,
yeah, you're right.
No, they do a good job, but the two different compounds of tires really kept it.
That really, really messed up to me. If you're sitting in the grandstand, you got no idea what's going on.
Well, I'm sure.
Okay? And I was sitting there looking at the computers, to tell where people were at. But the 34 got lapped, and then he made his lap back up first segment. He put on them soft tires and went from like 36th or wherever in the back up to 8th or 10th before they had another caution.
Yeah, and the 99 done the same.
The 99 just ran off and left everybody for a while.
It never did. I never did figure out when the soft tires give up. They kept saying about 35 laps.
Well, I didn't see where if they give up, they didn't give up any more than what the guys was on hard tires.
Well, that's what it looks like.
They still run the same speed as they did.
Yeah.
They give up from running a second quicker.
I believe if I'd have been there, I'd have tried to got me some red tires and some red paint and and fix me some for you to drive, but where you'd had an extra set. But I don't know it. I guess with everything, it stayed pretty interesting,
well,
Richard.
It really wound up by the last time they stopped, I guess, and everybody stopped. The cars that were supposed to be up front was up front. Okay?
Yeah.
The soft tires guys had kind of faded back, and the guys that just sort of stayed and done the same thing all the way through was still up front. And so that was going to make it interesting.
But with 400 laps and 2 sets of tires, you definitely had to save a set of soft tires.
Yeah, I would have thought you had to.
Everybody done it except the 99 and 34.
And they used their self up. Yeah.
And they still come out not too bad.
Yeah. They wound up really good. I mean, the 3-car stayed up front all day long.
He was a good car.
Nobody mentioned, nobody seen him. He just ran his race and done a really good job. And he come up racing at 22 one time, had a heck of a time getting by him, and then he went on. And if it hadn't had that caution, he was definitely going to win the race.
Oh my goodness, ain't no question about
it. The deal when they done that, then everybody come in. If they had soft tires, I guess they put them on, But everybody just. And then when they did get started, the 22 just flat out run the 3-car, and he was going to win the race by a couple of 3-car lengths. But that 3-car went into that corner, and if he hadn't hit the 22 car, he would hit the wall. But anyhow, I mean, I'm okay with a bump and go deal where you hit somebody and get them out of the groove and then you go by them. But when you just intentionally just run somebody over, that's asking a little bit too much.
Well, like you mentioned, the 3-car stayed up there all day, and television did talk about him.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
okay.
They give him a lot of credit. And when he would pass the car for the lead, he took his time and done it, and just out position him and everything. And he was by far on long runs the best car.
The best car, yeah.
And
he should have won the race.
Yeah, he should have won the race. But
under different circumstances.
But they only had 2 stages, restarts.
Right.
And really they didn't know, maybe the outside would have helped him if he took the inside on the green-white checker.
Yeah.
And but on that restart, that 45, he give the 22 a good
a
good bump,
he hit him,
that
and
helped him.
that put him out there about a half a car length on it, and that gave him the advantage to be able to get by the 3 car.
But no, I hate he had to win the race that way as he was.
I was hoping he'd go ahead and win the race because he run good enough to deserve it.
Yes, he did. But it'll be talked about for a pretty good while, and I don't know what it's opened the door for, even if it's not for a win.
Next week, everybody forget about it going down the road.
Yeah, maybe me and you'll get in a fight and they'll talk about that.
Well, we kept waiting for somebody to start pushing and shoving, but when they get in, when drivers get in to stuff on the racetrack, the crews get into the fights, and they got nothing to do with what happened on the racetrack.
Yeah.
And I never understood that, but I know we had a little bit of trouble getting into it too.
Yeah, we the 42 and the 43 just had a terrible race.
Yeah.
But the 43 started out pretty good, and of all things, the first stage, he was still not close to being lapped. And he come in the pits, and as the 20 was leaving, he spun him
out
and put us all
the way in the back. And then he never run good after that.
He never could get going again after that. And but there was a lot of mistakes made on pit road, Richard.
There was more than what's usually done.
But there's so much pressure on those pit crews now, it's unreal.
But, caught a couple of them running too fast, getting in or getting out. And I can understand when you get so up deal and you're running, you try to make up every half a second or 1/10 of a second that you can.
A 1/10 means so much, it's unreal. And, of course, qualifying good and getting a good pit, that's all good too.
That was what was good for the 11 car.
Yeah.
He had good pit place.
This has got to be remembered some. But, if it comes down to who gets in the last position for the championship, the last race, what would happen if somebody got together and
did something like that? Anyhow, we'll wait and see what comes out in the race. But they wound up, and I watched the race, and it looked to me like when the 3 car spun the 22, and then the 11 car got in front of the 3 car. 3 car spun him, and when they was doing all the spinning, it looked to me like that the 11 car wound up 5th. But I think in the meantime, they throwed the caution, and he happened to be second position, even though he was backwards or whatever, and still wound up second.
Well, while they was interviewing him, he was complaining about his shoulder. I don't know how bad his shoulder was, and I'm sure it didn't feel good, but they were still talking to him, and the announcer said, and by the way, they just said you finished second, so they done it pretty quick.
Okay. Anyhow, it wound up being pretty interesting in the long run. But the deal of having soft tires and hard tires, that's just too much dadgum strategy. These cars need to go race each other and forget about the strategy part.
Yeah, I know that, and even the stages and everything, but we can't control that either. But used to, when they was 2 different brands of tires now, that, at one time, them Hoosier tires,
they were really good for a while.
Lord have mercy, they was fast, but you're scared to death to ride on them. They was blowing out. You'd have to wear earplugs to keep from busting your eardrums the way they was blowing them out. But I don't know, used to when we had soft tires and they didn't keep up with the tires that much. I always liked it when you was the only one that had soft tires. So
it worked. I liked it too. Okay?
Yeah, it made it a lot easier on everybody. But
we'll kind of put this one behind us and get ready to go. We're going to Michigan.
Yeah,
and that's a whole different ball game.
Different ball game. Big, pretty 2-mile track.
Yeah,
and
2 or 3 grooves on the racetrack.
Yeah, and
a lot of drafting up there.
It just seems like we run that thing first in 1969, Richard, and it seemed like kind of a new track if you compare it to Darlington and everything. But that was first race was scheduled with a 600 miler, if you remembered.
And it rained. And
it rained. Thank
miles.
goodness it rained most of it out. Well, about 150 mile of it out. But maybe we'll certainly have something different to talk about next week.
We'll see everybody next week. I don't like that situation. They need everybody with soft tires or everybody with hard tires. It messes up. In other words, if you're sitting in the grandstand, you had no idea why this car all of a sudden got lapped, and all of a sudden now he's lapping everybody else. And so trying to keep up with the race with soft tires and hard tires and the strategies and stuff, it just messes up. To me, it messes up the race.
Yeah, I thought it. Watching it on television, I stayed mixed up all the time. Of course, it don't take much to get that on me, but and the scoring couldn't hardly keep up with it fast as there's making unscheduled pit stops and different strategies. Some staying out and running slow, and it was just confusing race. But it wound up interesting. I guess I shouldn't complain about the race.
In no way, no. In other words, we was already running pretty damn close to each other, me and Pearson, and we just got together, sort of more like a bump and run deal. It wasn't a deal where I crashed him or he crashed me. We got together and crashed both cars. He just happened to keep going, and I wasn't. But it was a completely different situation all the way around.
Yeah, and there's so many pictures of that, and I've never seen a picture where they actually touched each other. I don't know that the air didn't confuse them. And there was one picture, and I think me and Eddie Wood looked at it together, where Richard was completely in front of Pearson, so I don't know what part of the corner that was in, but that was, like Richard said, that was just a different situation.
He's getting desperate, I guess. He should have won the race. Okay, he had a good enough car. He ran up front all day, and he was going to be the winner. And then they had that caution, and then it confused everything. And so, if nothing else, he got desperate. Okay, and he just drove that thing on and caught up 3 or 4 car lengths going in a corner, and so it was definitely intentional spin on both of them.
He was the best car for sure, but he was a long run car instead of just a 2 or 3 lap car. But maybe if they hadn't had the green white checker, I don't know how many years we've had that, he would have won. So I don't know, but NASCAR's a little bit inconsistent on their penalties too sometimes. So I'm going to let somebody else take care of that one.